Ding dong, the witch is dead. Nadu is gone. Hello and welcome, everybody. It's me back again, Luis, with my co-host Josh.
Hey, everybody.
And it's exciting times. Some big changes have just happened, and we're here to bring you the news and everything to do with it. The winners, the losers, and the what ifs and what's going ons of all the formats that were just affected by the recent B&R.
Yeah, I think the real winner, though, is that Luis decided to put the podcast over his family and return, from his trip from seeing his brother he's not seen in 10 years. I'm glad he's got his priorities straight there. Exactly.
Magic above all else. You heard it here first. So all those that don't go to RCQs because you have a kid, shame on you.
So, Luis, today was the big day, the day we've been anticipating for it's felt like an eternity almost. We finally had the much anticipated 26th of August B&R, and it is a good one, and I like it.
It's a doozy.
Shall we talk through it?
Absolutely.
So standard, no changes. Standard looks really good right now. I've not played much standard. I know you've played a bit, but we're not going to talk about much on standard. Standard is healthy.
Very healthy.
Pioneer. Thank the Lord. Greasefang has been unbanned because Amalia is dead. She is in the ground. Goners. Don't have to worry about that horrible combo anymore. Why play Greasefang when you can do Amalia? It does it better. Greasefang, yay, is unbanned.
I wonder if people remember back when Inverter of Truth was happening and that whole shebang. Wizard's whole statement was, we want people to not be punished by tapping out early and mid-game, so this is why we're removing these cards. And then there was Amalia, who was just here for ages, just doing whatever it wanted. You tap out on your turn, tap out on their turn, just dead. Great. Fantastic. It's gone. No more Amalia. No more... more just...
Get on my life.
Court of Calling, win the game... BS, Coco, win the game BS. It's fantastic. I'm very happy to see it. As a Phoenix player, I'm more than overjoyed. Not only the Amalia ban, though, also the Sorin.
Splinter Twin is gone.
Sorin Imperious Bloodlord is also gone. It has put a huge dent, if not outright killed the Vampires deck. I'm sure people will innovate and will find a way to make it work. Maybe there's a way to jund Vampires with a bit of ramp so you can get it out a little faster. Something like that. We'll see what people innovate with. But those two...
People were throwing Sorin, Vein Ripper combo in pretty much everything. Like Greasefang was playing it, for example. You know what I mean? Like, I know I love Greasefang. You're right.
Hey, proper shag Greasefang, don't you?
And so that horribleness is gone. Modern. The bird has been shot out the sky. Mr. Beak is dead. 2 rounds. Confirmation kill. He is goners. Nadu Wing Wisdom is banned. Get away from me now.
And excellent. Not just Nadu as well.
Nope.
A lot of people were expecting it to just be Nadu. I wanted it to be 3 things, and one of them was indeed Grief. Grief is it's a card that, while I think right now is definitely not at its strongest, it will continue to have that effect on people and the play of Modern that kind of throws a bit of a unfun and non-interactive mode of Modern. You grief them turn 1 after they mold, and then they're out of the game. They draw nothing for the next 2-3 turns, and they're dead.
Well, not only that, the decks that it's in are really unfun, uninteractive. Well, I say uninteractive. This was sort of interaction, but like your Necrodominance, instead of Necrodominance on turn 3, you just play your grief out for free. See the coast is clear, then slam your combo or whatever. The decks that this is affecting are things like your Living End, Necrodominance, what else? The Goryo's Vengeance. The sort of decks that aren't really like Magic. You know what I mean? The horrible, unfun, does really stupid stuff. And I think people should be able to do really stupid stuff in Modern, but it should be hard to accomplish. And Grief made it too easy, I think.
It was quite literally Unmask, right? Unmask from Legacy. Yeah. That's what it was doing.
But better because you could do it potentially twice. And so Grief is gone out of Modern, and Grief is also gone out of Legacy.
I know you're happy to hear that one. You've been calling for this for ages.
I'm not sure it's enough out of Legacy for it to be healthy, and I'm not sure all these bans are enough. And for being honest, we will move on to talking about the Wizard sort of logic behind these bans. But for me, I think these are definitely 100% in the step in the right direction. I would like to have seen something out of Phoenix gone. I know you're a big Phoenix tryhard, but I do think that Treasure Cruise is a little bit too good. I fear that Treasure Cruise is part of the format's identity now, which we might make it untouchable. But I would like to see there, and Modern we would have liked to see in the One Ring banned as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Arguably, Grief is played a lot less than One Ring. Like you'll see Grief a lot less than One Ring now. I mean, there was a meme that got posted recently where you looked at the top meta share decks on MTG Goldfish, and like one of them had Grief in, and the rest were all one ring because it could go in anywhere.
Yeah, a bit of a weird way that Wizards went about it. You know, they stated, "Oh, there is no one clear One Ring deck that has taken over the format." Well, what was the one clear Grief deck exactly?
Yeah,
there was a bunch, but none of them were even close to as powerful as the current Ring decks. Doesn't really make sense. I didn't like their reasoning. It was a bit kind of reasoning. I understand why Grief is banned, and I do agree with the ban. I didn't like their reasoning, however, and the one they gave to keep the Ring around. We'll see. We could be wrong, but I do think the Ring is just going to become one of those cards that is an everlasting problem until the format is too fast to even play it. It's just going to get better with printing of new cards.
So they did say, one of the reasons they did say, I mean, we'll link the article in the show notes so people can read it. I'm sure everyone who's listening to this is aware of it and read it, but we'll do it anyway. So yeah, they mentioned about the fun aspect of Grief, how it's unfun, but I would argue that getting fogged out of the game is really unfun. While you've as tempo players as we are, we hate the fact that the One Ring can sometimes slip underneath our counter magic, and then all the effort we put in to stay above our opponent has now crashed and burnt before us because One Ring just recocks every bit of card advantage that we gained on their opponent. Plus the fog effect is nasty. It skews people's deck building into playing really weird cards to stop the fog effects, and it's just a free card. And they did say on this B&R that the One Ring is in their radar, and I think the next B&R announcement will be the 16th of December. So we've got One Ring until December, basically, if it doesn't stay any longer. Exactly. But yeah, the decks they mentioned here is Mono Black Necrodominance, Esper Goro's Vengeance, Living End, Rakdos Midrange, and a few other little weird decks that have played Grief, and they're the sort of the unfun strategies that Grief sort of enables. But I mean,
yeah, it's one of those things. I want to take it down step by step on each format and how it's being affected. We're going to go, like we said, through the winners and losers of each one, and we'll go from there. We'll start off
our perceived winners and losers based on a logical reasoning.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll start with Modern because that's the big fish, the one that everyone's ready for, the one that everyone's been waiting for. So first and foremost, the big loser is obviously Nadu. Nadu's gone. No more. It's dead. Fantastic. But what does that mean? It means that there's a new best Court of Calling deck in town, and that's going to be an oldie but a goodie, Yawgmoth.
Yeah,
Yawgmoth is coming back. Exactly. Not only does Yawgmoth still have all the tools that it had before Nadu got printed, it has the new tools from MH3. You know, it's using Branching Evolution. It's using Agatha's Soul Cauldron from before then. It's using a bunch of little...
Was that Birthing Pod?
Birthing Pod. That's the one. That's what I was thinking of. Birthing Ritual. It has a lot more tools in that way. Yeah. It likely, in my opinion, might start splashing white to use things like Sun Cleanser or some of those kind of cards to fight the energy decks or the other kind of decks that might be around. And I think it's definitely going to also be really happy that Grief is gone. So now it can't deal with its combo straight off. And it's a little scary to see Yawgmoth coming back into the light in that way. It is still a very strong deck. It does a lot of what Nadu did, but at a punishment instead. You know, it costs life. You had to have a proper board in play. It wasn't just two cards randomly you put into play and you win the game. There's a little more nuance to it. However, it is definitely a big winner from this ban.
More skill intensive, I think. More skill intensive,
Yeah.
more rewarding, and the fact that you're right in what you said. You essentially said why play Yawgmoth when Nadu's there, and the same for, I know we're not talking about Pioneer yet, but the same for Pioneer. I talk about Greasefang. Why play Greasefang when Vampires is here? Why play Greasefang when Amali is there? Because it's just doing that. It's just doing a similar game strategy, but not as well. So it's almost, you're almost putting yourself at a logical disadvantage if you want to win and spike a tournament.
Yeah. The big thing about Yawgmoth, though, it does deal with creature decks really well. And what was one of the big decks during this time? Well, Energy. Energy is going to take a big hit from Yawgmoth existing. Does Energy have the tools to fight Yawgmoth? I think so. They have enough removal. They have quite a bit of just general stuff going on. Blood Moon isn't quite as effective usually against the Yawgmoth decks, as they're quite happy to fetch their basics and have so many mana dorks around. And
it does hurt them, though.
It does hurt them, yep. But that's why I think, especially with Abzan, that they might need to run the Sun Cleanser because of Jeskai control and those kind of things. It might hurt them even more with a Blood Moon. So it's an interesting thing to see, and I'm happy and very anxious to see what's going to come out of the woodwork from people. I do think Yawgmoth is one of the big winners. I think Energy is another one of the big winners, as we expected, because there's no more Grief, no more Nadu, so it has a bigger playing field for themselves. It will have to be a little careful, though, as people don't have to run their 4 Harsh Mentors anymore. It means there's more Wraths that are incoming, which will definitely deal with Boros Energy, but that also means Boros Energy doesn't have to run 4 Harsh Mentor themselves. And what could that be? I think Reprieve is a big winner for them. It will give them the extra tool they need to fight the One Ring or Wrath effects that might stop them from winning the game on the next turn. What do you think, Josh? Is there another clear winner for you?
So I quite like I mean, we're blue black Murktide players. I like the fact that Necrodominance, I thought was quite a difficult matchup, is now a lot easier. The fact that we can hold up counter magic a lot more. I like hold up counter magic on curve. So when they're on the 3 mana, we can hold up counter magic for the Necrodominance, and when they're on 4, we can hold up counter magic for the One Ring. There's not a free clear the path for our interaction, because all our interaction is on the stack. I'm not so sure what our matchup is like for Yawgmoth. I think I'm positive in that matchup. However, I'm not quite sure what if that's a true reflection of the actual matchup, or what true reflection of the actual percentage wins on that matchup, because I've not seen enough reps in it when in a meta where Nadu is doing that thing better.
It's interesting, right? Because for the blue-red Murktide time, when it got Flame of Anor, Yawgmoth became a slightly better matchup. But blue-black doesn't have that kind of tool. It can't deal with the artifacts, so Agatha's Soul Cauldron is a real problem.
So if Agatha's Soul Cauldron hits, shout out to Tom locally, who got me on Wednesday with this. If we don't have an answer for Soul Cauldron, that just runs away with the ball. Like if they put a Grist underneath that, oh my, like
it's over.
All right, cheersies, and then they can turn on their the calling package a lot easier. Fetch for what they need, etc. I prefer the traditional Yawgmoth list. I think it's very well placed. I think people will probably experiment, maybe split between that and the Birth and Ritual sort of lists with the combo with I forget the name of the card with Gravecrawler, etc. I do think that our energy matchup, and I mean from a blue-black Murktide perspective, the energy matchup is a tough one. However, I think that if we can crack the Murktide, the Yawgmoth matchup, that Yawgmoth will keep energy at bay, hopefully, which is good for us.
Omnath is a little bit of a winner, but it still has the fear, the 4-color control decks, that Tron is rearing its head. Tron lost nothing. Tron has every tool they needed. They're happy to see Grief gone. They're happy to see Nadu gone. 2 matchups that they had a hard time interacting with, or would just get interacted against. So Tron is a potential big winner.
Storm,
what iteration,
maybe?
I'm not sure. Storm's decently so. I don't think Storm wins that much. While Grief being gone is great, and Nadu was bad for everyone, it also means people have more sideboard slots for Storm. And I know a lot of Storm players will say that, that doesn't matter if they have more sideboard slots for it. I think it does. I think Storm is one of those decks that if there's too many pieces on the board, it's over. It's too hard to catch back up and then actually still be able to storm off. I'm no Storm expert, though, so I could be completely wrong. but I think it's either a net neutral or potentially even net negative for Storm itself.
I mean, the biggest loser I could think from this ban is Living End. I think Living End is now dead, right?
Yeah. I think it has a lot to do now to try and come back into the meta. I know there was already Living End players innovating without grief back when the Violent Outburst ban originally happened, but it doesn't seem great.
It's too easy. It's too easy to interact with it now. I mean, like you can hold what if you have 2 counter spells or something like one bit of like stack interaction, then they're just dead, right? Like, what can they do? Like, they can't clear the path. Like, they've lost a massive tool that helps them in their favor. Like, I think the only time a Living End player actually got Living End through was the fact that they had to like grief or double grief for free and then cast the Living End. You know what I mean? It's it seems like a big loser. I think. And that deck was already on the sort of like fringe of play anyway.
Definitely.
I don't like, apart from like obviously egregious decks like Nadu, Hogak sort of stuff. I'm not a massive fan of sort of fringe decks getting just banned outright from ban B&Rs because it hurts people. I mean, we had the story of a local player with you recently who bought griefs only yesterday to play in his fringe deck, and
for 8 rack scam.
Or I'm not going to mention his name because it's a proper feel bad, but I do feel for him. But yeah, a new player buys a set of cards, but that's just that's the collateral damage from B&Rs, and unfortunately, it's one of those things that you can't really help unless you act on information. But a new player, how informed is a new player to Magic?
Exactly. So this is a shout out to keep an eye on your new players. Let them know when B&Rs are happening, because it's likely they were not paying as much attention to when they're upcoming as you are, especially if they're not proper entrenched players just yet.
So One Ring decks have obviously got a big win because the One Ring wasn't touched, and One Ring is going to get played more and more now. I think that's all I've got to say on Modern. I think Modern is on again. It's I said this a couple of podcasts ago. It's on the cusp of being amazing, and I do think Modern is amazing. It's just it could be better. It could be much better.
I'm excited to see what they do now. Maybe they have something in Duskmourn that is meant to enter the ring a bit more. I'm not sure. Because the One Ring is definitely the card that sticks out as it's going to be a problem.
It'd have to be like a really fringe playable card or a broken card to deal with One Ring.
Yeah, it's going to be like awful in Standard, awful in Pioneer, but very useful in Modern. That's what the card has to be. We'll see what they come up with. And also, what's his name? Orcish Bowmaster is rising in stocks.
Orcish Bowmaster is good. You know, Orcish Bowmaster is. It's weird because I know Orcish Bowmaster on paper is really good against the ring because they draw more cards. You smash in the Orcish Bowmaster if they don't have the answer there and then you can do it. But there is a window to where the One Ring player can interact with Orcish Bowmasters before it takes effect, because obviously when it comes out, you've got the fog effect. Orcish Bowmaster doesn't really do anything. Then you can get a three power on the board for 2 mana. But as soon as they untap and they draw a card, or before they draw a card, they have open mana to deal with your Orcish Bowmasters before they again draw. So it's not a proper definitive answer against One Ring, especially when you're putting them in these sort of like 4-color piles where you can have Solitude and stuff in there. It's
an interesting one.
Orcish Moga goes good against One Ring. I get on paper, like you probably want it in against One Ring, but there's lots of decks that play One Ring, and I take Orcish Bowmaster out, for example.
A deck that is also winning quite a bit from this is Amulet Titan.
Yes,
they lost nothing. They have the One Ring. Grief being gone, which is one of the banes of their existence, is very big, and obviously Nadu as well, because it's what it likes, right?
Amulet being played more and more. Like they're evolving Amulet. They're playing I forget that. I didn't know we were going to talk about amulets. So I don't know the name of the card. But basically, you play this card. You can sacrifice it, and all lands from the graveyard come into the battlefield.
Analyst.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Analyst. Yeah. In fact, I should know that because we had Sean Goddard and a few.
He
was talking about that. But so they're evolving. They're playing different versions of Titan. Titan does Titan things.
And that's what Titan wants. It wants a non-interactive, slow, format that is kind of slow and dirtly. That's what Titan wants, because then it can just go fast and get you.
Yeah.
Quite a few winners, quite a few losers. Obviously, the black decks, like we were saying. I think Goryo's definitely takes a huge hit here, which I'm happy to see. So
But I think the shell though can still do its thing. Like
it can do its thing, yes, but a lot less protection.
The fact that they can do do their thing on instant speed is amazing. Like that is in itself is protection because you're forcing the opponent to have the answer in their turn. And it's almost as if like say Grief was banned when Violent Outburst was still around. I think Living End would still be very viable because the fact you can do stuff in your opponent's turn at instant speed that is very very is like game winning powerful. Sort of negates the need for Grief, if you know what I mean. Or you know, I don't think Gorios is going to take a bigger hit from. It's going to take a big hit still, obviously, because Grief is just so good for that deck. But I don't think it's going to be as big as hit as it is for decks like Living End or Dominance.
Absolutely.
You have to do it on sorcery speed to do your thing.
But I am excited to see. It does open a lot of new levels of play. But we'll see how Modern evolves from this point.
Yep.
Then we have Pioneer.
Oh,
Pioneer.
For me.
I'm very happy.
Yeah. I'm very happy.
I'm a Phoenix player, so the two decks that have been giving Phoenix the most grief are what? Vampires and Amalia. They're both dead, essentially. Phoenix still has all of its tools. It does mean a big window for Blue-White opens up, though, as Blue-White did have a bit of a rough battle with these two other decks, and it's very good against Phoenix. So we'll see, you know, I'm guessing we're going to see a rise of control. It also means that decks like Lotus Field can exist once again, as it's not just getting comboed out faster, and it's not just getting out aggroed faster.
I don't like that Lotus Field is getting the benefit from this because
it's not a great matchup for us.
Me and Will, when you're off on your little sabbatical, me and Will slated that deck. We don't like people having 10-minute turns, whatever.
I agree. But it is definitely a big winner. It's Phoenix, Lotus Field, and Blue-White Controller are the biggest winners in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, and obviously aggro decks as well. With the vampires being gone means they don't have to fear the giant 6/5 gain 1,000 life card.
Yeah. Also as well, the fact that Red Black now, instead of being sort of forced to be in the sort of vampire package, can probably just exist as the Red Black mid range sort of deck. I do know that I do notice that on this B&R Fable was Fable of the Mirror Breaker was named as a card they're looking at alongside Treasure Cruise. So Fable of the Mirror Breaker, if that goes, that's a big loss for the Red Black sort of mid range piles. But I do think that Red Black is in a more is in a space now where people can sort of freely build. Like you're not forced to build the vampire package because it's so good. You can then explore different options in that sort of mid-range space.
Yeah, and this opens a lot of room for the red black decks to play more Shieldreds, which are very hard for Phoenix and annoying for blue white. So while these are big bans and very strong bans, there's a lot of counterplay and a lot of interesting things to come. And like you were saying, Greasefang's also back in the menu potentially.
Greasefang potentially is one of the biggest winners here because Greasefang, so I played Greasefang at 2 RCQs now, and the only decks I lost in the top 8 of both of them, and the only and I think one match in the Swiss in one of them, and they were both to Vampires and Amalia. So post this ban, I in paper I'm like undefeated with Greasefang.
You heard it here first, guys. Josh is gonna win an RCQ with Greasefang.
Yeah, buddy. I'm gonna do it. I promise. I'll try.
You'll have to wait until next season, though.
Oh yeah. Well, I need to try and win one.
Now, but yeah.
I need to try and win one too. I need to try and attend one for Modern. Like getting to one's an actual nightmare.
It's been difficult. I think there's a few coming up though. Hopefully, not this weekend, but the next weekend. Especially now with the Nadu ban, people. Because I know the Harley Quinns and a few other places got moved back. Some of the local game stores around because of Nadu. So I'm glad that they're sticking. They went with that plan. So now we can see more proper and more fun Modern play without this bird. But for Pioneer, is there any other big deck you think that wins out from this? So obviously generic aggro does really well, like in Soul Artifact might be doing better.
Creature decks just do better, right? Because Amalia is gone, so aggro is now more viable. Maybe some sort of like white. I don't know if there's a white weenie sort of deck that was in Pioneer or anything like that. I'm not sure if things like Angels and stuff was a really fringe deck. That's really good against Phoenix. That does better now with Amalia's gone because obviously it doesn't matter how many big Angels you've got; they're all going to die when Amalia pops off. like the fact that Vein Ripper. I like the fact that Vein Ripper's still in the format because I do think at 6 mana, if you're casting that at 6 mana, it's resolving. It's kind of fair for 6 mana.
Yeah.
It's a big dirty creature that does some powerful stuff, is very powerful, and if you get that far in the game in Pioneer, then fair one. Like you deserve a big dirty creature.
But it is a very big hit as well. Before Leo.
Turn three is just ridiculous.
Yes.
But I do think there's Sorin gone as well. Like if they got rid of Vein Ripper, for example, over Sorin is still an enabler. It's like the sort of faithless looting. Do you know what I mean? Like there's going to be other vampires. There's going to be other sort of stuff you can do on turn 3 that is way too powerful. So yeah, I'm excited for Pioneer. Like, and Pioneer bored me. Like, I got fed up of Pioneer, mate. I got fed up of vampires. I got fed up of Amalia. Honestly, that format, I was just done. The end of the last RCU season, I was just done. Like, I was like, I found my deck of love. It's on the fringe of being good, but I shouldn't be playing it because there's decks that I just can't beat because of how stale it was. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. It's opened up the floodgates, I think.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to see what happens with this new Pioneer and new Modern. It's very exciting stuff. It's solid, healthy. I am happy that Wizards did what they did. I wish there was a little more, but I do commend them for admitting to their mistake and saying that, hey, we probably should have banned this earlier, saying that, that it was a mistake not to. And hopefully they continue with that thought process and understand where the community is coming from when we need cards to be dealt with. And last but not least, we have good old Legacy, Josh's favorite.
It's getting there. So I'm not sure. Like, people didn't like Grief, right? And I'm not sure how impactful or meta changing this ban is. Like, it stopped. Like,
after everything you said in the last few podcasts.
Well, the thing is, what did I say though? What did I say? I said, like, you got rid of Grief. What they're going to put in Thoughtseize, for example. Like what changes? Like the blue black mid range the blue black tempo decks are still going to be dominate. Legacy as a format, like when you look at low stakes Legacy, it looks amazing. When people are free to play whatever they want, Legacy looks fantastic. It's just if the high stakes tournaments, the proper ones you want to win, the sort of secret lair showdowns, etc. If you're not on some sort of blue black pile, then you're probably not going to be doing very well. I don't know. I'm actually going to play some Legacy this weekend. I think it's going to be the first time in a while I'm going to play some. I'm probably going to start off with just Scaminator, see how it is as a litmus test. Just take out Griefs and put in my thought seasons and see how it feels. And then there's loads of blue black piles that I really like the look of because Frog is goated. There was calls for Frog to be banned. There was it was on their radar, I believe. I think it was named in the B&R announcement. Let me just scroll down and double check.
Yes, it was.
Yep. So Psychic Frogs, they said they talked a lot about Psychic Frog. I can understand how that could be perceived because of the meta share of that card. However, it dies to Fatal Push, mate.
Yeah.
Just kill it.
And Swords.
And you know what else is good against it? So people are replacing Psychic Frog. People are replacing Bowmasters with Psychic Frog. Do you know what that means? Baleful Strix is amazing now because guess what? I will happily block your Frog with my 1/1 flying Death Toucher that replaced itself on ETB because. Guess what? You're probably not playing Orcish Bowmasters because you swapped them out for
Frog.
For Frog. So I'm tempted with one of my favorite cards of all time, which is Baleful Strix, to play that again. So we'll see. What does this mean though is now that I can decide what formats I'm going to play in MagicCon Las Vegas. So after this pod is recorded, I'm actually going to go on and book my tournaments finally.
Nice. Well, I'm really glad that at least you're happy with the Grief ban. I'm hoping that it's enough of a meta change in Legacy. Obviously, I don't keep up with it as much as you do. But I see room here, even if they start putting Thought Seizes and things like that into decks, where the damage from Thought Seize is relevant.
Yeah,
it's not nothing. No. A little more Price of Progress, a little more of these kind of style of cards to punish decks.
Eldrazi aggro.
Exactly. And maybe there'll be a rise in Blue-Red Delver once again, especially if people are not playing Bowmaster. They're happy with that.
It'll be
maybe Grixis, right?
Grixis,
yeah. So it's exciting to see what exactly is going to happen there, how they're going to deal with things. And I'm very curious if it's enough of a change for Legacy. You obviously are saying you don't think so right now,
Nah.
but it could be. Legacy is one of those formats where 1 or 2 cards really does make or break the format.
Yeah. Like, what's your litmus test, right? Like, your litmus test of a great format now is like Standard and Pauper. People are happy with Pauper. People are really happy with Standard. It's a great format. You know, I know that MTG Goldfish did a podcast recently on what makes a great format. And I guess if you're enjoying your format and you're having fun with it, and you know, if you think these bans are really impactful for your format in a positive way, then your format's good, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, I'm going to play some. I'm really excited to try some Pioneer. I really wish I had more time. I really want to play some Legacy. I really want to play some Pioneer. I really want to play some more Modern. I know we had a meet up the other night where we just absolutely tested into the early hours of the morning at Modern. Thankfully, there's no Nado amongst us, and I do think it was good. Okay, I will say this about Modern. I think that this new meta, paper meta, will look like the league meta now.
Yeah.
So the Magic Online League meta will be, in my opinion,
more
the
proper.
paper meta.
Yes.
Because no Nadu was on there because no one could be bothered playing Nadu online because of how click intensive it is. And those who did play Nadu online weren't playing the stupid paper version, which looped lands because it was so click intensive. They were playing the Thassa's Oracle version, which makes it a little bit weaker, a little bit susceptible to things like dress down, etc., stifle effects, whatnot. Because consigned to memories everywhere right now because of Tron. So it was weaker online, albeit still way powerful because it was still winning a lot of tournaments. So I think if you just look at your meta share on MTG Goldfish or MTG top 8 of leagues, not challenges, I mean leagues, I think that will probably give you a good litmus sort of test or sort of baseline to build your decks, because that will be what the meta will look like. Throw Yawgmoth in there, a bit more Yawgmoth, I'd say. But yeah, you're looking at Boros Energy, you're looking at Yawgmoth, you're looking at Jeskai Control, those sort of decks where you want to be building your deck around. So that's where I'm going to be looking to exploring my deck building. I might put, we talked about a few more Toxic Deluges in our 75.
Exactly. It's a lot of really interesting changes. I want to see. I mean, I'm very excited now because Leo's coming up in November, and now with Phoenix being such a big winner, I really hope I can keep that momentum. And you know, I'm planning to be on Phoenix. I love the deck. This is my deck. And I know there's a lot of other RCQ grinders that have qualified for these tournaments that are probably scratching their heads or yelling at the sky because their Vein Rippers or their Sorens are banned.
Get wrecked. Get wrecked.
So I'm in a lucky position there. I hope you guys are all happy with the bans. If there's anything that you thought should have been banned but wasn't, let us know in the comments below. If there's anything you disagree that was banned, let us know as well. It's a very exciting Wild West time, and I am really looking forward to playing these formats in these coming days.
I know I just said get wrecked to all those Soren players, but if you genuinely were financially negatively impacted by this ban, I'm really sorry.
No, you're not. No, you're not. This guy.
I am actually sorry because I'm a bit of a anti-capitalist when it comes to that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm so sorry.
No, but thank you everybody for joining us on this small kind of special episode of Battle Chats. It is time to really enjoy these formats now, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment, share with all your friends and family, and we'll see you on the next episode of Battle Chats.
Bye.